the difference between growing and not, because you can do all things that will be for growth. If you don't integrate them, you know, did you really? The integration means it becomes you. Let's talk about the word integration. First of all, if you're listening to me now, your ears are watching me on a device, so your device has integrated me. When I take my phone, plug it in my car, my entire car stereo, every speaker, the amplifier, the whole mixer, everything's in my phone. Integration means the thing that is getting integrated becomes you. It becomes, that's integration. And so the term for that in a character is integrity, which is pretty scary to think. Meaning if you have an awakening, you have an insight about yourself, or an awakening about God or spirituality, or an awakening about, and you don't integrate it, what do you lack as a character? You lack integrity. That's an integrity issue, which is pretty scary to think about. Integrity is a major responsibility. Integrate what you know with who you are. You know, that's like the next level of responsibility. See, most people think responsibility means, you know, brushing their teeth, or, you know, using shampoo. So other people have taken all the way to like wrong and right, taking responsibility for what's wrong and right. Other people take it to financial responsibility, like to be able to be, you know, fiscal and pay your bills, financial responsibility. Responsibility is back to wrong and right, like, or all the way to dedicating your heart to God and things like that. Responsibility for others, which is, you know, life that are non-negotiables. You know, that the whole thing of you learning how to take responsibility for yourself is to graduate yourself and then move on to others. You will never get beyond themselves, which is, you know, that's the emptiness you might feel in life, because like, yeah, I can take care of myself. Let's see if I can take care of someone else. And that's marriage, taking care of someone else, kids, someone else, and kids. Next thing you know, hey, guests. Next thing you know, you start your guests at your house. You find out that they could use help in their lives, and you just keep expanding your sphere of service, of what you're capable of giving. So integration is like really, really key. And integration's super key. You have to learn how to integrate. You have to learn how to integrate. Become the person who gets integrated. So who's the person who doesn't integrate? The person who sees himself as separate from experience. You know, like he's like viewing life. He's a voyeur. He's aloof to what's happening around him. He's a psychological term is dissociated, meaning so he's like floating in the world. He's disassociated. You'll notice they're not really in their body so much. Can't hear their voice so much. They're not really, and that person would have trouble integrating experiences because they're not there at the experience. Now, we could go into that in depth, why people disassociate, and we're not going to deepen it, but something's triggering, meaning the entire world's triggering, so you're totally dissociated, or you're edged to dissociate because something could trigger you, or you're in a situation that's just a dissociative situation. For example, people's biggest fear is death. So now you got to be at a funeral. So you're going to cry, or you're going to just kind of watch the eulogies, or you're going to be fully associated and cry through the eulogies with the being family who are up at the phone. It could be that in different situations, different environments bring up stuff for you, and it's better to just dissociate from them. Someone who's dissociated has to get back in their body. They're what's called unbodied. You can tell dissociated people are really in their body. can sense they're not. They're just not really present inside their own body. Hear it in their voice and sense it in their language. So the ways to get embodied and to get associated with yourself is to get embodied, to use your body. Use this. Learning to sing, be doing screaming work, primary exercise, whether it be or whether it be cardiovascular exercise, can get back to your body. And then there's the psychological way of getting back into your body is to meditation or other altered states of consciousness, to heightened states of consciousness, to work, for example, to get yourself to bring out the trauma that disembodied you in the first place. Because most people have anything from a big trauma that disembodied them to little traumas, which we call the little, which are often more insidious. So you can't any one thing, but it's the little T traumas that disembodiment. So you definitely got to be in your body and be totally associated with life. And you got to do your work. If you're disembodied, if you're disassociated, you got to do your work to get back in it. But once you're in it, now you can integrate experiences, because now you're having experiences. Now when things are happening, actually fully experiencing those things. And once you're fully experiencing, now you have a chance to integrate. Integration comes on a scale, it seems, with people. I've found with some people are better integrated than others. So if we just remove from the equation disassociation, embodiment, but we say, okay, we're embodied. Let's say all of us in this room are embodied. And we are having an experience, and we want to integrate it after. I have a feeling each one of us would have a level of integration. Some of us, life is completely altered. In fact, I'm going to have to fit everything I call life into what I've just experienced. Others of us will be compartmentalize the experience and kind of on, even though we want the experience embodied, integrated, we want to integrate that experience. It's like, I don't know how to do it because it was compartmentalized. Like at night that we did all the breath work, or was compartmentalized to that amazing event, that concert, or that amazing talk I heard, or or this amazing video I saw. Somehow it's compartmentalized. So you'd find everyone would have a different relationship to integration amongst us here. Some people are like instant integrators, and other people have to work really hard to integrate. And think about it for a moment. Which one are you? Are you the compartmentalized guy? Like, I happen and then they end, and then it's just in its own compartment, and now you got to work on integrating? Or are you the kind of person who everything that happens to you is not a compartment, rather it's a download? The person who I partnered with in getting this building we're in right here, this office in here. And this was like, you had to press a little code over there. And when you get in, the arm didn't go off as if there was anything in here worth protecting. But whatever. They're a family that also locked their door whenever they got home. I would come in sometimes and knock. I would knock, and I'd come there, and there are 12 men in here amongst all the women and everything. Because they had a lot of sons, their sons-in-laws, and I'm like, who are you people expecting? It's going to come in here, be dangerous in any way to either person or thing, that you need to lock this door every time it closes. Anyway, there's the alarm. That was nothing in the deepest part of a building that no one comes into it unless they're here for an event. So but why am I talking about my friends? Oh, his best friend, by the way. I'm making, but he was my best friend, and he sadly passed away, and just us all in the lurch. No one's gotten over that. It's just some people die, and no one ever gets over He was the one that no one ever got over. His family's still in like, it's been years already since. Um, the integration. Why did I bring him up?
This place, to download sometimes.
Ah, right. Thank you. Wait, let's bring it. But once asked. We were hanging out. We hung out every day. But I once asked him because I hadn't seen him in a few days. I said. I didn't see him on, I think it was, I forget what it was. Maybe it was, I don't know, it was always Simchas Torah. I don't remember. Let's just say it was Simchas Torah. So I said, yeah, Simchas Torah. And how was Simchas Torah? And he looked at, yeah, nechnas. And how what? You mean, how did it go in? It's not. We did a full Simchas Torah. It's in, man. That's in for the year. I personally, every holiday, that's down for the year. You start with Rosh Hashanah, and then Rosh Hashanah is in for the year, right? That was your Rosh Hashanah with everything that's come for the year. It's all in there. So, but Yom Kippur is kind of your relationship to Tshuva for the year, and Sukkot is your joy. It's all going in. Because Torah is your joy of Torah in the year. And Hanukkah's now in. Every time you look at Shabbos now for the rest of the year, it says in the holy books. Every time you look at Shabbos lights the rest of the year, you can go straight back to Hanukkah. Straight back to that light of darkness, that light of the eternity of Hashem. We've been talking a lot about fires lately. Light also burns things, flammable, but light represents eternity for Sukkot, for Hanukkah. It represents the eternity of Hashem's light that shines forever, no matter what, in the darkness. In the darkest place, that will push it away, the darkness. And it's funny because what we were speaking about regarding fire was never believe in flammable things. Don't trust in anything flammable. And the Hanukkah's your trust in Hashem in the darkest time, and that's where the light is. Winter solstice. That's where the light is. And anyway, but you enter that light. Now you can move on. You guys notice that on we don't just say Akela Kodesh. We say paragraph after paragraph. Uvachein, uvachein, uvachein. This whole long thing, and then after that whole thing, you say Baruch Atah Hashem Hamelech HaKadosh. Well, you know what that means? That means that every day after Rosh Hashanah, the rest of the year, you say Baruch Atah Hashem HaKol HaKadosh. You know what it includes? That whole zip file. Okay, it was the other day of the year. You're not going to go through all the things that God's name being made, meaning it's of the humanity. When we say Akel HaKadosh, it includes all those things. Because remember, the first paragraph is Uvachein Tein Pachtecha. That's about the Gentile. And the next one, Uvachein, is about the Jews. And then the Dikim, the Rishoyim. And it's like, it's all in there. It's integrated in there every time you say Baruch Atah Hashem Akel HaKadosh. Integrate. You're not going through each Shabbos. Each Shabbos is going through you. It's becoming you. And when you have a Shabbos and davenings and you have the Shachris Mincha Mariah every day, that's all entering in. It's becoming you.
That's with everything.
Everything's becoming you. Everything's.
Integrate that.
Well, what I'm talking about right now is full integrators. We're in full integrators. Then people really compartmentalize everything, and they have trouble integrating.
Or not, wouldn't it integrate it?
Yeah, and actually it's explained in psychology that dreams are where you purge all the stuff that got integrated was peripheral to the day, or something that was painful or brought up stuff for you painfully. That your dreams integrate that. That's why people who don't go to sleep for many days are forced to stay generally get paranoid crazy, psychotic, because they have overload of unconscious stuff integrated in their body and in their mind, and they need to dream it out. The dream state is a purging state of information that got in you or emotion. And you want to know a nice trick in some of my best classes happened this was a day after an all-nighter. Some of the best things were written after an all-nighter. Some of the best poetry, some of the best books, some of the best screenplays. Some of my best classes, because art is these classes. And my best classes happened after all-nighter. Why? Because that night I give my brain the chance to purge everything in it. So what happens over the next is your whole unconscious mind starts bleeding in. You start bleeds into your conscious, unconscious bleeding into conscious. Well, all art comes from the unconscious. Art doesn't come from the conscious. If it came from the conscious, no one would look at it. No one would listen to it. I can tell in a second a song written from the conscious or the unconscious. This is why there's millions of songwriters. A few people actually hit your ears, because they're the ones who are accessing the unconscious for the song. Songs come out. It's the difference between a written song and a song that appeared, that manifested. Very different thing. And obviously the beauty of highly talented, as in some rock musicians, usually jazz musicians, highly talented jazz musicians are able to hit that tone real time. And because they're highly talented, they have the full use of the fretboard of their guitar or their bass, keyboard, or the drums, and you watch them go into what's called the muse. It's a fancy word. It's called muse, M-U-Z, and called the muse. You get into the muse, which is that unconscious flow, and out into your, and it's coming through your thing. Ray Charles, Wonder, yeah, where they would get into the muse. And I was just watching the bass player of Michael Jackson from the song. The bass on Thriller. And stop, it just keeps going like that. And I mean, it stops, I think. No, it never stops. Never stops. Even when you go, dun, 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 and that's the whole song. Yeah, it never goes away. So it's a 5-minute song with those same notes the whole time. So the interviewer asked this, great bass player, did you loop it? Did you play it 4 times and then loop it? He says, no, it's not. Get a perfect of 4 bars and loop it. And he was like, then I will groove. He said, don't take away my chance for 5 minutes in the groove. Saying is he got into that unconscious place with boring, boom, 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 which would put any white guy to sleep. But he was in the groove, and don't take away his groove. Yeah. And I'd like to tell all of you guys, especially because you're Jewish, is Jews can often wind up being talking head. This is where they end. There is a groove, and don't underestimate the power of the groove in your own life. Because it's a vibrational resonance that you can integrate. It can be anything. Like, I'm going to be hiking in the desert today with my wife. Well, it's a very horizontal groove. The north has these very mountainous grooves. And down there, it's in the mountains of Israel in the north. This energy is vibrational energy of our sages, who seem to be in every yards. Each one's a vortex of prayer. My wife and I have found a few hidden ones that are like those are our spots. And this is I don't want to. So, and they, if I tell you I got a kid, I would tell anyone private, but I'm not going to say it online. And there, but then you go down to the horizontal vibration of the desert, the southern. It's a very different vibe. It's very beachy, ocean vibe. Ocean's a horizontal vibe, but the desert vibe is the forefathers. If you go down camp a few nights, like we go down there, sometimes in winter, spend a few nights. You're in forefathers vibration. When you stand out there at night, you look at those stars, realize those are the same exact stars that Abraham was watching and thinking about life and the future of his people, and which is the planet. Everyone's from. You got the Arabs from Ishmael, the Jews from Yitzchak, the Indian, all the Hindu and Buddhist and Eastern traditions are from the 6 children of his concubine. Her name was Incense. He sent her eastward to the land of the East. And that's an amazing thing. And he gave them all gifts. What were the gifts? He gave everything to Isaac, but to his 6 concubine children, he gave gifts and sent them away from Isaac, eastward, the land of the East. So much in that one in the Torah about the entire Eastern traditions. We left. What's left? Just Aboriginal people in Africa and the Americas and the Chinese. Other than that, everyone's from Abraham. And the Aboriginal culture in the Americas and in Africa are from Noah's 3rd child, whose name was Ham. Youngest son was named Ham, means instinct. Ham is hot, and instinct, and he was the instinctive kid. So those tribal cultures, including China, are instinctual people. And Yafet is Europeans. That's the oldest son, and the middle son is Shem, and Shem is Semites. And Shem means meaning-oriented people, and that's all. People are meaning-oriented. Well, once you cross Europe, across the Mediterranean, you get into Israel, all of a sudden, everyone's in a meeting. Go sit in a coffee shop in Tel Aviv and watch what happens. And you'll be on the life within like minutes of talking to the most secular Israeli. And it's all going to be meaning-oriented. And across Israel, maybe to bridge Tel Aviv, because there's also a lot of inane, 25 high-tech. But once you cross there, then things get very meaningful. You get to Jerusalem, things are like extremely meaningful. And then you just keep moving east. It just gets more and more meaningful until you don't have to go. Once you're in Jordan, you can already have people just living in tents. Bedouins. Yesterday I was with Bedouins like all day because I'm mountain biking in the desert. So with Bedouins and shepherd dogs. Shepherd dogs are the most friendly dog you will ever meet. They're so unfriendly that you have to actually get off and pretend you're throwing at them to get to back off. And don't pretend, meaning start with pretending to find rocks and throw a few towards them. Bedouins, they know you're gonna hit their dog with a rock. But we had to do that 5 times crossing the desert, because if you try to ride, you try to beat them, about 6 dogs going as crazy aggressive I've ever seen a dog. And these are built basically to protect at the throat. But they're used to mountain bikers in Israel. So yeah, I wouldn't want to meet the ones but the ones in Israel are, it's kind of routine that we're in with them. That's why it's fun to be the first rider. Because if you can, you do. Poor guys behind you to suffer now. So was funny. One I found was sleeping a little, so it had the high ground. So I was just like quietly like shooting by. But I saw he was starting to open his eyes when I went by. Anyway, I got down to the bottom of that area, and my son's not with me anymore. So he catches up. I said, what happened? He says, well, the dog you woke up charged me, completely charged me. I had to stop as quick as I could and get a bike between me and the dog till it ran away, you know, or till he let him walk away. Anyway, I digress. I'm just going to underestimate the groove will tune your instrument. It will help tune you, and you need to be in tune. And you're in tune on a core level, like when it's properly tuned to any groove. When it's properly tuned into of your environment or the sound of the music or whatever it is, when you're properly tuned into the groove, your instincts go up. And when your instincts go up, because the groove is pure instinct, you're resonating with a vibration, which means you're tuning your instincts. Once you tune your instincts, so then it's really hard to rip you off. It's really hard to lie to you. It's really hard to going forward, because you can really relax. You don't have stuff because your instincts will pick up on stuff. If there's something to pick up, you will pick up because your groove's well established. Anyway, let's get to integration. So full integration would be that whatever happens to you, fully integrated, and that's it. What about who are only semi-integrated, non-integrators? So that brings us to identity. How do you deal with it if you want to be able to integrate? So the answer is identity. Human beings have no idea who they are. We have no idea who we are. I have no idea who I am. You have no idea who you are. That's just the facts. And the proof is, ask anyone in a crowd of people, or even a size crowd or anything, just ask anyone, stand up and tell us who you are. Go ahead, tell us with full confidence who you are. And what you'll see is, if you were to stand up and do your best, I would completely deconstruct it. If I were leading this deconstruction mode, I would deconstruct that that's who you are. And so now who are you? You see, integration means that I'm ready to become whatever this is taking me to become. I mean, I'm not a human being, I'm a human becoming. I'm becoming things, which means I'm constantly letting go of it. You know, learning with my Rebbe, Rav Shalom Shachna Friedman, the Hornersteipler Rebbe, he once, when we were learning with him, one night, the Chiddush that was brought down in the Sfarim, you know the word Chiddush? Chiddush is the new idea that came up in the learning. We got this new idea. It so blew everybody away that even the Rebbe was blown away. So the elder teaching us was blown out to the point where he couldn't even go on. We all were just like, and it's crazy I don't remember what it was, but I don't remember what it was because it was so long ago. Well, it went in, obviously, but I don't remember what it actually was. So we were blown away. And so the whole class had to pause to just like, whoa, like, is that really Torah? Like, Torah's telling us this? When the Rebbe finally got back to himself, he looked at all of us and he says, you guys look pretty blown away, yeah? And we're all like, yeah, we're blown away, man. And the Rebbe said, you know what the difference between me and you is? He said, you guys are going to now integrate this new idea with everything you know. I'm going to take everything I know and integrate it into this new idea. For you guys, you're adding. For me, everything I know now comes through this. This rabbi has very few students. Very few. And the ones he has are always either Balchuvas or converts. And no one could ever figure it out. Why has this guy, why has this Rebbe with such a high curse, why doesn't he have this huge following? It should be like impossible even to get near him, going to get batted off by Gabbai, his assistants and stuff. You know, isn't that going on? So I played it for years until I finally realized the Rebbe is flipping over his identity every single day. He is every he learns is becoming his new reality of his how he literally out from his eyes. It's a new setting. Everything he's learning is a new setting for reality. He's flipping his life over every day. Well, who are the people who to him? Very few stick to him. With the few that stick, what do they have in common? They've at least flipped their life over once. Either the convert his life over and converted to Judaism, or the Baal Tshuva flipped his life over and became observant from a non-observant background. One's flipped their life over. But anyone else there who was raised observant, and they're just, it was interesting, a little scary. It's pretty scary to be with them. You know, it's interesting, scary, but it's not for me. And the reason is because he's in like that. Identity is our issue. You got to be willing to let go of it if you want to integrate a little. You got to be able to let go of everything. Let go of your whole identity. Anything flammable is definitely worth identifying around. But it's not that. It's structures of identity that this I am and this is who I'm not. Because think about it. If you think you are X, Y, and Z, it means you're not A, B, and C. Well, it says who? Oh yeah, that's where you end? A, B, and C? Sorry, X, Y, and Z? That's the end of who you are? So therefore you're obviously A, B, and C. Well, guess what? New thing that happened in your life, this new experience, or this new relationship, or this new Torah learning, or this new that, it's saying A, B, and Z. And what's going on is X, Y, and Z doesn't know where to put it. I don't know where's he for that? I don't know how to run that program because it's bringing my identity into question. You have to be willing to love everything, to be someone who integrates, to have integrity, and live, which is integrity. You have to be able to let go of your identity. Huh? Which quote?
You can't accept the truth because you're too afraid of letting go of what that was.
Sometimes you accept the truth because you're too afraid of letting go of what you thought was. Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
So how do you let go?
Of your identity.
Sure.
There's different ways of doing it. And we have another subject just to mention shortly is we all have something else called misery zone. You see, the stuff you want to integrate to make your life better. You have a misery comfort zone. And, this is Possible You chapter. It's one of the 10 lenses we go through in the Possible You. And that is that you're kind of addicted to, you're addicted to a certain amount of misery in your identity, in your life, and how you see things in the whole world. Like you're used to that. And things threaten your misery comfort zone, you will sabotage. Be able to identify it. We got two things in the way, and we'll discuss both, and then we'll call it a day. The two things that get in the way of identity. One is two things that get in the way of integration. One is identity, and the other is misery comfort zone. Because whatever it is you want to do and was going to make your life better, you wouldn't know how to live with yourself if your life was better. So we'll handle both quickly. The way you let go of identity is to, there's a trick. So one is you a beggar and move far away from where anyone would ever recognize. doubt anyone's going to do that. Another way is another way is you spend time alone, in nature, without distraction, and preferably use your voice to God. Talk to a good thing to do, because once you're in nature, in a place called the wilderness, it's called the midbar. You hear another word in the word midbar? Midaber. Midaber is to speak. So, so much of our identity is wrapped up in the identities of others. And in nature, there is no other identities except the birds and there are the trees and the earth and the stones, and they don't say much. So you're able to clarify who you're not. And who you're not is not all socially constructed sense of identity appears in the rest, disappears in the midbar. And then you actually can maybe hear that still small side, small voice of God that speaks. I'm not going to go into a whole. It's like 12 years in India is getting rid of identity. It's like kissing guru's feet, so that you can notify yourself at least before someone who's done his work to give his, which is not really necessarily the Jewish, but to go, some in toes. I don't think that's our path, but whatever. I'm not deep into this, but certainly anything you can do to wipe your slate clean of who you think you are. Let that go. And another trick is whenever you find you're in a situation where you're like, not me, man. I don't do dishes, or I don't do whatever. Whatever you don't do, go do it. That you do. So that's what? Yeah, whatever. There's nothing you don't do. You don't, because remember, wherever your edge is, identity. If you don't, so then you got some identity. And as a public figure, I'm kind of wherever I go. So like, I could easily fall into some identity. And so I make it a point when no one's looking, I'll sometimes do something really out of the box publicly. Like for example, I'm in the market and the cashier, what's the feminine of cashier? Cashier. What's the male version? Same? So the cashier said, right back, I have to go get this. I just be right back. So I see there's no one knows. Calling all shots. Just want to see with an amazing day today. Hope you're having a great shopping experience. And the lady, of course, comes running back. She grabs the microphone. Anyway, but I'll do those things. I also I come of service to people. I pick up litter. Litter, garbage. I pick up garbage in the street. And I also once in a while I'm in the bathroom and coming out of the bathroom, see like a stall. It's like someone must have an accident. And I look, are there other places in the bathroom? And there's only one. There were a couple of holes and there was that one. And I was looking, grab some towels, some paper towels, some water and stuff, and I just look like a janitor was just there. Open back the door, wash my own hands, and get out. And anyway, but there are little tricks you can do on the side just throughout your day. Little that are just little tricks to do, and they're good to do. Yeah. Just to tell you a quick on that, one of the greatest rabbis of this generation really big Talmud Chacham. And instead of being a rabbi study hall, he ran a hostel, a youth hostel, that you had to be secular. You had to be a non-observant Jew to get your free housing. It was called the Heritage House. As a joke at Ishtar, we used to call it the Heretic House. And you couldn't be observant if you lived there. You had to be non-observant to live there. What he would do is he did this for years and years, but when I knew him, he was already in his 60s. When he passed away, he was in his 80s. But this is a man who God listened. And if you saw his posture and prayer, I'm seeing him doing it right now. His chin was up a little beard, and it was like literally like he was holding God's throat when he prayed. He was holding God's throat. This guy was nuts. He knew no limits. So he'd walk up to people, like the coolest people you ever saw, walking down the street, in the old city or in the new city or down at the, they're like, cool guys. You just walk up to him. He complete introvert, a complete introvert. In the personality traits of an introvert, he was the introvert. And you felt so awkward when you talked to him. I was with him for years. I never talked to him where I didn't feel awkward. He was that big an introvert. Normally, an introvert's fun to talk to. Like, they have so much to share and let out of their, when they're one-on-one, but they're great. He was like awkward one-on-one. 10 times more awkward on had two people in front of him. He spent his day, every free hour he had, when he wasn't learning to walk up to people and saying, "Are you Jewish?" If they said yes, he would stay, and they'd be like, with backpack, and they'd say, "Come with me." Now, depending how far they were in the Heritage House, would how far he talked with them, but he can't talk with them because he was such a he couldn't talk with them. So like the guy is thinking the whole time, like, who's this guy? Once the door, now we're all the friendly people that he hired, and make friends with the guy running the dorm, and like, the head of the dorm, which I call a doorman, and they get this full, and you never hear from him again. He once called me and he said, "Down to a guy named Justin," and I'm like, "Come on, Justin, like any other info?" He was like, "Nah, that's all I remember." But I don't know who it is. He says, "Well, we're reading reviews, and he said that your class touched him the most." And he was, they dropped them at Ishtar in the morning, Your class touched them the most. I said, "Okay, great. Thanks for telling me, Rabbi. Like, I never called me before." I said, "Okay, great." He says, "Call him." And what do you mean? So call him in America as like Texas or something. And I want you to tell him that I'm going to buy him a pack. His profile hits someone that it's good for me to buy him. I'm like, Rabbi, I don't feel comfortable that I know somebody that I don't know who was in my class. I didn't. People in there, I don't know which one was him, and I certainly didn't talk to him. He's like, "Call him. Here's his number." I didn't write that. I'm not calling the guy. It's like lack of feel, offended. 2 weeks later, he called. He said, "What did Justin say?" Like, "Rabbi, I got to be honest with you. I'm not comfortable calling this guy." He did not hang up the phone until I said I would call him. Next thing I'm calling this number. "Hi, Justin. It's Rabbi Glazer." "How'd you get my number?" I said, "Listen, Justin. It's time to come home. We're sending you a ticket. We're sending a ticket to come home." And the time perfect. He had just gotten fired, like some comment at work, and it was like, "Oh, this is amazing," and came to his room. Long story short, I get a call again from the rabbi saying, "Justin, who's been in yeshiva in Bnei Brak for the last years or something, married tonight. And I thought maybe you should come with me to the." And I'm like, "All right, I'll jump in." So it's about when you guys in the hostel walking out of the hostel with backpacks. You guys are going, you're not allowed to leave. You can check in anytime you want, but you can never leave. And he's like, "Where are you guys going?" They're going, "We're going to Tel Aviv." And he's like, "No, no, 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 we're leaving." And they're like trying to get out of the door. He says, "We're Tel Aviv. Come." So they're back on this trunk, and there are guys in the back of the car. And one of the guys, right as we're in the gates of Jerusalem, you know, the edge of the city, right as we're in the edge of the city, one of the guys says, Rabbi, what's wrong with marrying a Gentile anyway? I hope he's asking me so that the rabbi can drive. Ready for this? The rabbi drove to Tel Aviv, looking in the back seat the whole drive. I have my arm over here telling you gas. We almost crashed 100. I still don't know if there were crashes because we're spinning out behind us. At one point, cars were spinning out behind us. He didn't stop screaming at this guy the whole way. He was screaming at this guy the whole way. This guy was like, the rabbi was like a freak of nature. Like he was just beating a different drum, running on different frequencies. You know, we made it to Tel Aviv. When the wedding was over, he was like, okay, let's go. And I'm like, I got a ride. I took a bus back. I'm not giving him. I'm not going back. It was just, I know we'd get there, but I can't take it. So anyway, what I wanted to tell you guys was I did a concert in the old city at 2 in the morning one night. I come out, it's raining, dark, it's freezing. And I come around a corner and I see a person in you know, a lot of times when the old houses are up above, coming through the tunnel and see there's a person. So I'm like, okay, my instinct, you know, make sure it's safe and everything. My other part of me who's in this tunnel in the middle of the night, frozen, puddles everywhere. And anyway, I see that he's bending down, picking stuff up, and he's bending down and picking stuff up. And I just, okay, it's some kind of janitorial situation. And so I just walked through the tunnel. And when I got near him, I looked, and you couldn't see so well, but I looked at him. It was Rabbi Schuster. This was Rabbi Schuster. 2 in the morning, cleaning up the old city, but pulling bags out of muddy puddles, sticking them in a bag, cups, sticking them in a bag, another yucky bag. And I just walked quickly, he shouldn't see me. This was him in the morning. He was 80s. He doesn't even live in the old city. He was up to identity. Let it go. Misery comfort zone is the amount of misery on a scale of 1 to 10, how much misery to feel comfortable in your identity. The way you deal with this, you practice I love you behavior. Practice I love you behavior. Like when you hold food, you hold the food. Like before we had soup in these cups, hold it and say, what does that have to do with my body? Is this I love you or I hate you? Making a coffee. White sugar is great for you. Only having 1 white sugar a day, not a big, it goes in your coffee. But spoons, is that I love you or I hate you? Is getting addicted to coffee, feel it anymore, is that I love you or is coming home late without even calling I hate you. So what was you identify every interaction, everything you do throughout the day, everything that happens to you, ask yourself, see it as a fork in the road, I love you, I hate you. Don't just go with I love you. If you really enjoy white bread, go for white bread and give an I hate you, but maybe make a blessing with a bench. Use the actual bencher for your blessing after. Didn't I love you? If you blow Leinu L'Shabbat, where we say at the end of prayers, if you blow it off today, like most people are not the words. You can just tell by the time they say it. You can't speak that fast. So they're not really saying all the words. I love you spiritually, to blow a prayer that you're meant to sing. So I hate you. So if you're saying it 3 times a day, Shachrit and Chamariv, so one name, open the book and say the words. It's a big deal. Once a day. So I'm saying only do I love you, but practice I love you. And what you'll find is your misery comfort starts going down and down. As the misery comfort goes down, you start integrating things that I love you things. Because part of the problem is, what do people want to hate? The things that we do, and I love type of thing. We want to enjoy stuff that's love, meaning love of ourselves, that we find ourselves, that it causes self-esteem, that it causes well-being. That's what you want. Well, how do you integrate that if you're always saying, I hate you inside, if you've got a high misery comfort zone? And so by practicing I love you behavior to the point of just having a plus at the end of the day, like I don't care if you did 20 minus, you're down minus, build it back up, finish the day in the plus. One's enough, but finish your day at least +1. Get cognizant of I love you and hate you throughout the day, and what will happen is, if comfort zone's a 9, you'll be at an 8 very quickly. You drop 2 numbers in about 4 or 5 months. You can drop 3 numbers in about a year or 2. And as you drop those numbers by being cognizant, everything you do throughout the day, everything you think about, it, you touch, everything you say, everything you eat, is exercise, not exercise, is a fork in the road of I love you or I hate you. Choose the I love yous. Not so often, just enough. 51%. And your day in a plus. One's all you need. Already go down, Bert. Then you'll find that when you have an experience, integrate, it'll start integrating in you because you're the kind of guy who loves himself and would, wants his life to be good. Thank you for joining me in Practice Spirituality. Please subscribe to my channel, not just the stations that I'm on, which is Rabbi Yotov. And hit the bell to get those reminders. Come on, blessings.